Hi, this is Tracy from stepbysteppainting.net, and I have a very fun pineapple painting I'm going to teach to you today. I did one with black stripes and the other one with bright aqua green stripes. I tried to make the pineapple as simple as possible, but don't let those leaves intimidate you. Let's get started. You're going to need some painter's tape to begin with the stripes. And this painter's tape is about 1 inch wide, and I'm using the ruler to make it level. This is a T-square ruler. It comes in really handy to draw lines and apply paint lines on the canvas because of the T-square. It makes it level. The ruler is about 1 inch wide, so all these stripes are 1 inch and 1 inch apart too. So I'm going to apply the painter's tape. If you're using a stretched canvas that has the 3D side, you can drape the paint all the way around the canvas. This canvas is a panel, so it doesn't have the 3D sides. So I'm just kind of gently rolling the tape on the back side. Okay, when you're done, you are going to paint the stripe color. So I'm using bright aqua green for this demonstration. Get a large brush, and I'm not even going to use a palette. I'm just going to put the paint right on the canvas. Use left and right strokes, and I recommend that if you're going to use water, use a very tiny bit of water. If you use any more than that, the water of the paint is going to drip under the paint tape, and you're going to get some not so straight lines. The paint's going to go under the tape. So I don't recommend that you put water, and if you do, just a very tiny bit. In fact, I might have used a very tiny bit in some areas to make the paint kind of flow faster here. I'd also like to mention that I did not paint the canvas white. I painted the canvas white in the black and white demonstration on the left, but I did not do it in this sample. That's up to you if you want to paint it white, but since leaving it blank, I think it turned out okay. So that's up to you if you want the canvas to be white, but I'm not going to paint those white stripes after I pull the paint tape off. Okay, wait for it to completely dry and then pull the painter's tape off. We get a nice crisp line. That white that you see, I'm not going to paint on that. If you would have painted that white before, the consistency of the acrylic paint would show through, but actually I don't even notice it in the end. So it's up to you if you wanted to paint the canvas white in the beginning or not. You could actually, if you were doing different colors, I would paint the whole canvas like pink. If you're going to do turquoise and pink, so paint the whole canvas pink first and then do the stripes. Okay, next we are going to draw the pineapple. So pineapples, the shape of the fruit or the size of the fruit is almost exactly the size of the stem. So I'm going to go ahead and mark the middle of my canvas. This is a 14 inch by 11 canvas. So I marked about 5.5 inches, and I'm using green chalk, actually green pastel. I'm going to draw the top and the flat bottom here. And then I'm going to kind of make a rounded sort of shape of this pineapple. This pastel washes off, but not as easily. I'm doing a dark pastel for demonstration. If you want, it's probably best to use regular white chalk or even a pencil. That way you can erase. Okay, so the stem, I'm going to draw kind of a curved line, and remember the shape, the size of the pineapple is about the same height as the stem, so I just kind of used my hands to guide. And I do have a traceable on my website if you are having struggles with the drawing. I'm going to kind of do sort of loose zigzag lines on this top for the top part of the stem, and it kind of gets narrowed down, and then in the middle draw some more loose zigzag lines. And I'm going to kind of fix that shape. The nice thing about painting is that it covers up our drawing if we goof on the drawing. Okay, so on my palette I have Phthalo Green and a little bit of Mars Black. I'm going to mix those two colors together. What I'm going to do is paint this pineapple this dark green color. I'm going to use this very large brush. I believe it's a number 6 round brush. And then I'm going to use this other smaller number 2 or number 3 round brush for the pointed edges of the stem. So basically, I'm going to paint this entire shape in with this dark Phthalo Green Mars Black color. And when you're painting this in, try to get your strokes to go with the shape of the pineapple. I don't think the effect would have worked as great if I did different directions here. So the reason why I'm painting this in dark is to cover up those stripes. In the first version with the black stripes, this is very necessary because those black stripes are hard to cover up. So we're going to go kind of opposite with this pineapple. We're going to go from dark to light. I'm used to always going from light to dark. This is going to be kind of different. So paint this entire pineapple in. This is a pretty easy step. You can kind of define your shape a little bit more. If your drawing didn't turn out that great, you can use the paint to kind of redefine the shape here. I never paint exactly in my lines. I kind of adjust as I go. And then you see that I'm using the smaller round brush to kind of define that line a little bit better. Okay, switch back to my larger round, and I'm going to work my way up into the stems. I lost kind of that black in there. There's no exact proportions of black to green. I did use more green than black. I didn't want a solid black color, but I wanted a dark green color. So if your proportions change as you add more paint to the palette, it's fine. You can see that the consistency of the color is different throughout, and that is okay. In fact, that's kind of beneficial. You'll see in a second. You can see a little bit of the stripes showing through on the stem, but that's okay for now. I end up not seeing it in the end when I add more layers to the stems. You'll want your painting to completely dry before you go to the next step. This is brilliant yellow green, and I fell in love with this color when I did this painting. It shows up so nicely against dark colors. You can see it here. It's a very opaque color, and this I'm using Liquitex Basics. So I'm going to start with this smaller round brush. This is a number 3 round brush, and I'm going to add my brilliant yellow green. It's it's like a bright lime green color. It works very nicely for this painting. And then what I'm going to do is kind of loosely apply it to the leaves. And this part, don't let this part intimidate you. Kind of make expressive leaves if you're stuck here. Basically what I'm doing is painting mostly on the left side of each of the points. Actually, that one went to the left side. The first two I started on the right side. So I'm just picking a side of one of these pointy things and I'm painting loosely. I'm not covering the whole thing up. I want the dark green to show through, and kind of turning my brush to get different wavy strokes. And I'm not thinking too hard here. I know that the leaves of the pineapple have more 3D look, but I wasn't going for that. I was trying to simplify this and not make it too hard. I wasn't going for realism here. So painting, just pick one side of each of the point and lightly apply that brilliant yellow green. Loose strokes. And I'm going to work my way down, make all of these points have that color in it. And then maybe right here we have a leaf that kind of is in the front. And actually I'm going to add a darker green color to my palette. This is dark green permanent. It's going to be kind of a middle ground green from that dark phthalo Mars black green to the bright aqua green. And what I'm doing is I'm loosely painting the same way I did with the bright yellow green. I'm doing this with the dark green permanent to kind of blend that bright green with the dark black green, if that makes sense. So I'm painting the part where the two colors meet to kind of blend them together, and just kind of loosely add strokes. I'm not going for completely opaque. I don't want to cover up all the green colors, so it's kind of translucent. You can kind of see through all the different layers of green that I'm doing. Okay, without rinsing my brush, I added that light green permanent, and I'm going to do some more leaves in the front. So again, these are expressive, loose leaves. Don't think too hard about this step. If it's not working for you, you can always get like a bigger brush and just do your own thing. And down here, I'm adding some smaller frontal bottom leaves of the stem, some smaller ones, and working my way down here, adding the dark green permanent, not rinsing my brush between colors. Just kind of freely going with it, grabbing the dark green, then grabbing the lighter green, and I think I even grabbed a little bit of black here to add some darker tones. Trying to make these bottom leaves show up just a little bit better. And I think I'm gonna go in and add some more dark black areas. I think when I was doing this, I was thinking a little too hard. I was trying to make it look like my original, but that doesn't always happen when you're trying to duplicate an original. I think the energy of the painting changes when you do it on a different day. It's kind of interesting how it all works out sometimes. Okay, so I'm adding some more of the darker color in here. Added it more to my palette. See if I can make some of these leaves stand out a bit more. A lot of times I'll do a painting before I even, I'll do the painting for the first time and I'm not recording myself. And then I think, okay, yeah, I get it. I know how I did it. Then I record myself and then it's like, oh, how did I do that? It's not doing the same thing. So it's, like I said, it's interesting how it plays out. Okay. Some more darker areas, and at some point you can decide when you're done with your pineapple leaf stems. Lots of layers of green. And add some more of that lighter color in here. Lots and lots of layers. Some more dark green permanent. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm holding the brush on the very tip and not closer to the bristles. That's helping to get some of these loose lines in the pineapple stem. Okay, I think I'm done with this stem, finally. I have titanium white, and what I'm gonna do is paint the white on the fruit itself because I'm going from dark to light. If I wanted to paint this pineapple and start adding gold and yellow, it's not gonna show up unless we have white here first. So I'm painting these kind of organic shapes. They're not exactly a diamond. They're kind of resemble a diamond shape if you want to think diamond. But I'm not consistent when I paint geometric stuff. So if I try to do all of these diamonds perfectly geometric, it would turn out the way that I'm doing it now. So I'm purposely doing organic shapes. If you have some kind of stencil with a diamond on it, I think that would look kind of cool if you did that. But I don't have a stencil. In the original, the black and white version on the left, I did ovals instead of organic diamond shapes, and that worked out fine. If you look through the pictures on the website, you can see how I did the ovals. In fact, I used a larger round brush and I just kind of stamped with the brush the ovals on, but I wanted to try this way for the demonstration. And if you notice, think of it like brickwork. So the way the pattern of the like they're bricks. So I'm painting them in between on top, if that makes sense. And then I'm going diagonally as I'm going from the lower left to the upper right diagonally. And then not all of them are the same size. Some of them are larger, some are smaller. The ones on the side look like they're going off the pineapple because they're on the side. Also, I purposely tried to make the organic shapes in the middle to be slightly larger than the ones that are not in the middle. This gave the pineapple a little bit of depth. That is something that you can try doing, or if you feel more comfortable making them more consistent and all the same size, that is fine too. Okay, now I have pretty much all of my white areas painted in, and all that's left is to add in the gold and yellow tones. And actually I'm just kind of covering up some of the spots that are still showing through and fixated on my pineapple leaf here. Felt like it needed some white highlights. Totally optional, but actually kind of liked the effect, so I went with it. Kind of a dry brush sort of effect here. Okay, here are my plethora of yellows. I couldn't make up my mind which yellows, so I grabbed a bunch. I even grabbed bronze and gold. So I will list the descriptions and the captions here. The name of the colors. I do have cadmium yellow dark, primary yellow is that brighter yellow, and copper. Actually, no, not copper, it's bronze. It's like a darker gold color, and then gold, which is a lighter color. Okay, it doesn't matter what you start with, but I grabbed primary yellow, and I'm gonna paint in my shapes here. I'm using that the same round brush I used to paint the white shapes, and then I'm sticking with this primary yellow, and I'm just painting random shapes. They're not in any particularly order, they're just kind of random here. So one right here, one right there. When I'm ready to switch to a different color, I'm not going to rinse my brush, I'm just going to grab the color. Okay, grab cadmium yellow. I believe it's medium or deep. I will list it in the captions so you can be 100% sure which yellow. And actually, you can grab any combination of yellows if you have several different ones. If you don't, try to find a light yellow and a dark yellow. I was going for variety here. Yellow oxide is a good one because that one's a dark yellow. Okay, grab that copper. And what I find with the gold and copper paints is that they show up, but only if there's color underneath because they're so transparent. So if you want it to be solid against the white, you might need to add a few coats. So add a coat and then wait for it to dry if you want to go for the completely gold. I wasn't going for 100% gold or copper effect. I was going for kind of just a mix of everything. At one point here, you'll notice I just grab whatever colors and just paint them in freely. So I'm going to grab those two yellows and painting them in. So think of it as maybe each of those yellow areas are a different shade of unique yellow. And then I'm just layering some of these darker yellows and gold and bronze on top of the already painted areas. And for the last step, I'm going to grab a very small number 0 tiny round brush, and I'm going to paint little darker sort of X asterisk sort of shape lines on the areas. This just gives the pineapple a little bit of texture. I'm doing this with yellow oxide, that darker yellow, so that it stands out against the lighter yellows. I did that on each of them. You don't see it on some of them, but it's still, if you look closely, you can see kind of the variation in texture. This is optional. Okay, this painting is about to wrap up and be finished. I hope that you have fun painting your pineapple. You can see all the gold as I tilt it in different directions, so you can see how that effect turned out. Thank you for watching.